how you feeling after that win, after that Contender Series win? I'm like you said, it's like you just had like a bunch of interviews you just finished. So it's is it definitely something new getting this much attention after one fight, or is it kind of one of those things that you kind of just saw it coming and you're kind of already prepared for it?
I didn't see it coming. I mean, there's always like some buzz for any fight,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think I really had time to think about it because I took the fight on 2 days' notice,
Mm-hmm.
and the first thing on my mind was just making the weight. And the
Mm-hmm.
moment I made weight, the next thing on my mind was rehydrate, and only then, who am I fighting? How am I beating him? All that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I really never had a moment to think like, oh, what kind of waves is this fight gonna make?
Mm-hmm.
And
And like you said, you took the fight on 2 days' notice. So and you had a fight originally set for the next week for LFA. I'm correct?
yeah, correct.
Yeah. Was that at featherweight or was it gonna be at lightweight as well, or
Uh, it was gonna be at featherweight.
featherweight already? So yes, man, just like let me know, man. Like tell me the day how it went down. So it's kind of like you get the call from the UFC. Was it your manager that like, let you know, or did they call you personally saying that like you're about to get a shot at the Contender Series? And like has this been kind of like one of those that you knew it was coming in terms of like you knew the UFC had you on the radar, like it was either going to be after your LFA fight that if if that was going to happen, but like you said, like right now you accepted the Contender Series fight and you won. So was it, yeah, like was like just like out of the blue, or was like the UFC kind of had you on the radar for like a while now and you knew that it was on this way?
I felt it was on its way.
Mm-hmm.
At first I was always looking to, just be content with where I'm at. Fight, just win. I wasn't thinking like too far ahead, like UFC and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was always looking to the fight that's in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
But this time I was feeling that if I would have fought in LFA, I kind of felt like I would deserve a shot. And obviously, the LFA event was going to be after the last contenders event, so I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really counting on a contender shot.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to get the fight and maybe just get like a short notice UFC fight, or maybe need one more win in LFA. But like a short notice contenders fight was always an option. And I was in Abu Dhabi recently on Fight Island. I was cornering a friend of mine,
Mm-hmm.
Mark Striegel,
Mm-hmm.
and I was there and met everybody, and you know hung out, and I felt like kind of like I belonged. Like it won't be long before I'm there for me.
Mm-hmm. And how was that, man? Especially Fight Island. Not that many people can say that they were on Fight Island. So, like, in terms of like the hospitality, like everyone's like giving it rave reviews. So, would you be another one that would be giving it rave reviews, or it was kind of like one of those things that you were on like the island and it just kind of felt like its own separate world? Like it was like Disneyland for fighters, don't you think? Or was it like you said, it was just kind of like business as usual? It's just like a different place, different time, in terms for like a
Uh,
fight week cornering your friend.
yeah, for me it wasn't just another corner because it was the first time I cornered somebody in the UFC,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things is like for fighting for war is like to know the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like me going there was me getting to know the terrain. I wanted to see the cage from the outside, the production, how everything works. Of course, I was there to help my friend first and foremost, but it was a great bonus that I could see things for myself before I need to experience them in a higher pressure with somebody's trying to take my head off, soak everything in.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I go next time, it would be more familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great experience. Fight Island, it's awesome. Flew there in business class, which is always fun.
Mm-hmm.
The couple of times I did that in my life, and everybody was great. The UFC staff was great over there. The hotel staff was great. Um, the only thing that really was negative, but not that bad, is obviously where everybody's in a bubble,
Mm-hmm.
so it's very safe COVID wise, which is a great thing. And unfortunately, you can't go out to theme parks or go visit Dubai and stuff like that, which is completely understandable.
Yeah, like unfortunately, it's like the new normal. Yeah. So like you said, like you're kind of you. It was kind of like a philosophy type of like saying you just had right now. It's kind of like knowing your terrain. And I know in the post fight interview you had, you were talking about how you originally did karate and then you try to keep karate in your life. But like you also use it as like kind of like a meditation, kind of like keep it like on the spiritual level, like in terms of like helping you um yeah, like helping you in the way like kind of like visualize things. Do you think that like yeah, can you just speak a little bit on that, like how'd you get into karate? Like you also said that you got your black belt from Japan, so were you there in Japan for a certain period of time, or was it kind of like you would train in Israel and then after that you would go back
No,
and forth from there?
so I was there at 16-year-old after doing karate and kung fu for only 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
I told my mom like I'm going to Japan to train, and I went there, trained for a month, came back, started training even harder and more seriously at home.
Mm-hmm.
I got my black belt in kung fu, and then my goal was at the end of the year to fly to Japan again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I stayed there for 3 months. Hard training, like seriously, very hard mentally and physically, like being away from home, at 18, um, getting beat up by the, karate masters and karate competitors, and
Mm-hmm.
just being, the young guy. And Japan has all kinds of ceremonial things, like if I'm the youngest, I have to pour everybody's drinks. I have to turn everybody's shoes at the entrance when they leave their shoes, so their shoes are waiting for them facing the outside when they leave.
Mm-hmm.
Carrying bags, just a lot of things that it's a great experience. It really made me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Teaches you a lot about being humble and training hard. And but it was a very very tough time for me, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And like
And
when you were in Japan, like would you stay like were they like were there dorms like in the training center, or did you kind of have to like go and kind of see if you can find a place for yourself nearby?
yeah, so I was there with my former teacher, and we lived together. We rented an apartment,
Mm-hmm.
and money was very tight. I would only eat like either rice or pasta from right at home, and training every day. Like it would pick us up at 7 a.m. and we would come back home at night. Just do session after session after session with short breaks. It definitely like molded me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something I keep to this day with me.
And like when you were getting your black belt like in karate, and then also said you also said you got your black belt in kung fu, was the plan always like from the start that you knew you kind of wanted to get into MMA, or was it kind of like one of those things that you just kind of wanted to do for something for yourself to kind of make it a lifestyle, but like not necessarily make it into like having like a pro MMA career? Because I know like in the press conference you were saying that at first like Lyoto Machida and then Little Machine kind of like made you like he was one of your idols, and he kind of made you kind of like have that thought in your head saying that you wanted to do MMA at some point, but then you kind of said that you were just a karate guy. So like was it like so just like back to the original question. So was it always the original plan for you to get into MMA? So that's why you kind of got into kung fu and then karate, or it was just kind of more of a lifestyle, what type of thing?
So when I was a kid and I used to watch Rocky a few times a week,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a boxer. My dream was to be a boxer when I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I didn't train, I was just watching the movies. And one day when I was a little bigger, I saw some K1 fights, and I wanted to be a kickboxer. And then around 12, 13, I was starting to watch UFC and Pride fights and Crow Cup, Fedor, Noguera,
Mm-hmm.
all that era. And I wanted to be an MMA fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started actually training. And in Israel there was no MMA, there was no there was some boxing, but there was no Google to just look up a boxing instructor.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just from mouth like word of mouth,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to a karate and kung fu gym, which was like the most badass in town, very Cobra Kai style.
Mm-hmm.
And the training there was very hard, and that's how I started training. Like I said, I flew to Japan. I got my black belt in Japan at the end of the 3 months of training.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing in karate, it's you're a student, you train, you become a black belt, and then the only thing kind of left, at least in my style, which was not competitive, was to become a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. I thought I'm going to be a karate teacher. I love this. I'm going to do this my whole life. I'm going to teach people and help people. I'm going to keep training myself and self improving. And that was the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, it's still the plan, but we took a little detour
Mm-hmm.
because the MMA thing was really like kind of tormenting me.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to fight, and I was doing karate. I was teaching karate, but I really wanted to fight in MMA.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, I decided it's now or never. I'm not gonna get any younger.
Mm-hmm.
I can always teach, and this will only make me a better teacher and will only make me improve. And that's what I want to do. So I left everything, uh, passed my students on to other good teachers, and uh, and went for it.
Yeah, and then you ended up going to Vegas and going to Team Syndicate. So, um, was it one of those situations that you knew that Team Syndicate was the place to be, or you came to the States like kind of jumping from gym to gym, see what gym fit best for you?
Actually, I came to the States not knowing anything
Mm-hmm.
about anyone, and I just got lucky enough to meet my striking coach, Jimmy Giff.
Mm-hmm.
We started working. Um, he took me on as a project. He really invested a lot of time in me to turn me from that weird karate guy that shows up in the gym and does weird things on the heavy bag
Mm-hmm.
to an actual, competent fighter. And then he took me to Syndicate where I met John Wood and the team, and that's where I've been ever since. And
Yeah,
the big thing,
Mhm.
the big thing is a lot of people always told me, why don't you go to AKA? Why don't you go to Jackson? All those big gyms.
Mhm.
And I feel like, let alone that when I walked into Syndicate, I felt at home pretty fast. And John's a great guy and a great coach. But for me, the biggest thing was I don't want to go to all those mega gyms and be just some nobody over there. They have world champions. They won't even look at me.
Mhm.
And at Syndicate, especially like back at that time, yeah, there were a few veterans, but most of the team were young, hungry amateur fighters and that were winning all the amateur titles around. Uh, we were killing it with the win to lose ratio, something crazy like 100 to 7 or something. Like the first year I was there,
That's awesome.
yeah, and that's what I wanted to be part of. I was fresh, I was new in this sport. I didn't think I needed to train like with a world champion. Whatever do I have to offer a world champion, and what good can he do for me other than beat me up and I won't learn anything?
Mhm.
So I stuck around with the amateurs that were winning, and I was telling them, training, learning. Then I got my amateur fights. When I got my amateur fights and started winning, my friends went pro. I went pro. My friends got into the UFC. I got into the UFC. So all along, I think it was a good choice that played out very well. I believed in the team. I believed in John and the coaching staff, and it proved itself because getting like a huge name pro fighter to come into your gym and keeping him winning, or maybe he lost one fight and you put him back in the winning streak, that's cool.
Mhm.
But taking just some young guys that are new to the sport, one's from a karate background, one's from a wrestling background, one from boxing, some from zero, and bringing them to the UFC all together, that's pretty crazy in my mind.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And then like the thing is, it's like it's crazy how some people, like whether it be fans, coaches, fighters themselves, they usually tend to forget that those big gyms like AKA or ATT started just the same way, like you said with Team Syndicate, like small team, eventually like a small team like of everyone like young, hungry fighters, and then over time success just keeps growing and growing. And I feel like that's definitely the case for like either if you're doing MMA, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, like any like specific art. I feel like sometimes people tend to forget that uh, smaller gyms equal more like attention to yourself. Like you said, it's like if you go to a
Exactly.
big gym, yeah, if you go to a big gym, it's like you're just another number. But if you go to a smaller gym, it's like you become a part of a community. And like you said, it's like it's awesome because you just tend to grow from there. And I think like after the post fight press conference, you had a little funny line that you said that like when you first came to the States, you were just a karate guy, but then I said that like I think um who was it? Was it your grappling coach that said that you once you came to the States, you went from Natan Levy to Nathan Levy? Because like just like
Yeah.
your wrestling was just like especially in the fight, you were just dominating on the grappling aspect. So when it came to wrestling, especially when like you being a karate guy, um did it how did it feel? Like did it feel obviously awkward because things you were just never grappled in your life, or was it kind of one of those things that just kind of came naturally? Like you're like the type of fighter that kind of like someone teaches you something like like the first time you get it like that.
On the ground, some things are very confusing to me, but some things are clear as day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think more than I think like my kicks, I don't feel like I'm very talented at it. I surely was not born flexible.
Mm-hmm.
I just worked my ass off, millions and millions of reps to get pretty decent at kicking.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my hands, I'm not gifted at it in boxing. And I'm working very hard right now and getting those millions of reps in to slowly improve at it. And and I think I'm decent right now. I'm definitely pretty good in the gym, but I need to translate it to the cage. And I think I have a lot more to improve. But wrestling and jiu-jitsu kind of come naturally to me. Of course, it's not easy to learn, but once I get it, maybe sometimes I don't need those millions of reps. Like I had done moves in fights in jiu-jitsu tournaments that I've only repped a couple times before, forgot about them, and then it presented itself and I went for it. I think I can say I'm talented on the ground way more than on the feet.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, like the arm triangle in the fight though is you just cinched it on so perfectly, and then after that, you like the Shazeen actually ended up passing out. So like, did you feel him pass out, or was it one of those like you were just not letting go until the referee just gets you off him?
I felt him pass out,
Mm,
but that's why actually I finished the move from half guard.
mm,
I got him from half guard, but I did feel him pass out and his leg go limp. So I passed him out because I was thinking in my mind, if he's not out, if I'm mistaken, I'm not going to keep squeezing forever if the ref doesn't stop it.
mm,
So I would let go, be in mount, and be ready to drop some elbows and punches on him.
mm.
So I was thinking one step ahead, even though I knew the fight was over. I was still thinking one step ahead, and I felt him kind of go limp, and I wasn't gonna let go though until the ref told me.
Yeah, definitely. And then, like I said, it's such an impressive win. And I mean, it was impressive enough, like you said, to Dana to give you a UFC contract. So in the post fight interview, you were saying that you kind of wanted to take some time to see your family because you said you haven't seen your family in a while. But is it still the same thing that you kind of want to see your family and then take a fight? Or is it like one of those situations that you're like, at this point, if the UFC has a fight ready for you, and let's say whether it be in next month's card or let's say for the Conor and Poirier
Yeah,
fight that's rumored, would you be open and ready for that, or like you said, you kind of want to
yeah,
take some time and? Mm-hmm,
yeah. I really want to see my family, of course.
mm-hmm,
Um, I have a nephew I haven't seen yet. I have other nephews that I miss. I have my brothers, my big brothers, my mom, my dad. Grandparents, friends. Um, coaches, teammates from Israel that I want to see. But Like I think if I waited for a year and a half, and I've waited so long, now that I'm here, that's why I left to begin with. So if there's an opportunity, of course, I'm gonna stay and fight. Um, I'm really dying to go home, but right now I'm not really looking at any plane tickets or anything. I'm more keeping my ears open to hear anything about a fight.
Mhm. And like you said, at lightweight, right? Because you said at lightweight you felt like
Yeah,
the best.
yeah, I felt very good at lightweight. Plus, I can make the weight
Hmm.
pretty easily, pretty fast. So I think it's gonna help me get more active. Because prior, there were a few times in my career where I had offered to fight and I couldn't make the weight on time, so I had to ask for a different date. And I've fought 6 times in 3 years since I've gone pro.
Hmm.
I would have much rather fight more often.
Hmm.
A lot of it was, COVID, and a lot of it was cancellations, people getting hurt, um, just a lot of bad luck. But right now, I feel like my luck is changing, and I want to stay active, get some wins, get the number next to my name soon, uh, and then I'll make my family more proud, and then I'll go visit them.
Definitely, brother. Definitely. Hey, man, you're in the UFC, so congratulations again. And I'm, like I said, I'm sure your family's really, really proud of you. So that's all I have for you today, man. So I really appreciate you giving me the time, especially for me, someone that wants to make a career out of, being in the sport, covering you guys, telling the stories of men and women just like you. So, like I said, I really appreciate the time. And yeah, man, thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
You too.